pop culture. Everything is permitted.
Welcome to episode 80 of Everything is Permitted here at Wade's Comic Madness. I am your captain and host, Julian Brown, alongside my co-hosts, the Man of Steel, Matt Reppert, and the Master of Puns, Brittany Tomes. How we doing?
I'm having fun.
What the hell was that?
I don't know. I have the power.
Oh my God.
No, I'm doing pretty good. When I get home today, I'm excited. I got a D&D cookbook that came out like 2 months ago. And I've been meaning to make recipes from it because it's really cute. And I'm finally making one of the stews from it for my mom and dad. So I was like, wait till after my podcast, and then I can come home and make it.
Go make some stew.
So you're going to call me when it's done so I can come do a poison test, right?
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding. Like, I want to taste that shit.
That's good.
Yeah.
Will Brittany roll a 20 on her cooking ability or a 1?
These are...
Depends more so. How's your constitution? You have to make the constitution save. Doesn't matter how well I did.
Sorry we weren't back with you guys last week. I had a little bit of a COVID scare with my kids. They were theoretically exposed to another kid who had lots of the symptoms. Luckily, both tests were negatives, but that meant I had to stay home all week and almost be murdered by my children, which was not fun.
Speaking of that, I just got our work just put out a thing saying when we're getting the vaccine, are you interested in it? I'm like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, Heather told me that you're getting it. I was like,
They haven't given us a time frame as to when we're going to get it, but they just basically just came out and said, like, are you interested in getting it? Because, you know, I think they're waiting on the FDA approval to finally start going like, psh.
They're not requiring it of you guys.
No, well, the military that I work with, they probably have no choice. It'll just be like, do you want it? And like they might politely ask, and if they say no, they're going to be like, oh, that's too bad. So
sucks to suck, nerd.
But for us, they can't force it on us.
Right.
But I mean, I have a feeling that there could be some kind of like not liability issues, but like medical, like coverage issues or stuff like that if we refuse it.
Yeah.
So
there you go. Yeah. Fun show for this week. So
the Mandalorian Power Hour is this episode.
Yeah, it is the Power Hour, and I'm actually ridiculously excited. So yeah, great show for you today. We're gonna get right into it. But before we do, Brittany, how can people support our show?
If you love our show and you want to learn how to support us more than just sharing our articles and memes and different things on social media, you can head over to www.everythingispermitted.com and click on our little drop-down tabs, hit Patreon, and it'll shoot you over to our Patreon page. We have some different tiers you can choose from, $2 a month or $5 a month. And you get access to lots of cool content. And if you do the $5 a month, you become an EIP VIP, and you get access to awesome bonus pods, which are always hilarious or deeply profound and interesting.
Indeed.
Usually both.
Not only bonus pods, but you get access to this episode the same day.
Yeah,
after I'm done editing.
That's true.
Most of the time the same day. Sometimes editing takes a little longer.
Sometimes
and
the children
attack
him, and then he's like, it'll be tomorrow morning.
Today might be one of those days because our floor guy is finally there to maybe finish them today.
I thought your floor was done.
Yeah, I thought so too. No, the floor is not done.
The saga.
Wait, what?
It has been the saga of the floors.
The floor is either done or not done. How did he screw that up?
Well, so it like when you came over, it looked done, right?
Yeah.
But he still has to do all the siding stuff, and you didn't see inside the closet. The closet wasn't done yet.
That clever bastard.
So transitions, siding, and the closet.
I like how the Mandalorian episode was called The Tragedy, but the true tragedy is the fact that your floors still
You're
aren't
not
done.
Fucking kidding.
Julian's got to get in the closet there.
But if you... I've been there, done that. Still am to record. That's a joke because I recorded in my home studio.
Brittany literally hotboxed herself because we did a table reading of DS9's Trials and Tribulations, and she was doing the narration too in her closet. So she chugged like, where's that water bottle of yours?
I haven't even filled it up. This is how much I drank last night while sitting in there. I was sweating.
Oh my God.
I was so into character though.
You were. It was all
like too much.
Anyway, sorry, we got off track from the Patreons.
But yeah, you do get stickers if you join, no matter the tier, and also no matter the tier, you get to join our patron group on Facebook. It's like a cool little Facebook group, and you can brainstorm ideas, talk to us, share memes, whatever you want. It's really the whole gambit. So that's it. Speaking of our wonderful patrons, I won't do anything weird this week because I'm really excited because we got well, one person we've announced, but we got another person, and they're kind of a dual deal.
Yeah, it's a duo. It's a dynamic duo.
It's a duel of fates. Thanks, Billy Peets, Heather Reppert, Rob Migliaccio, Michael Cox, Nikki Veazey, Matt Moore, Cabria Wimbush, Rob Carter, Kyle McClinton, and Connor McClinton. Yay! We got brothers.
I feel like the McClintons, that could be like a wrestling duo. Like, oh my God, here come the McClintons, JR.
Yeah, like a good old 80s tag team. Right?
Here come the McClintons with a chair. Oh
Connor's
my God.
climbing the cage. What is this madman gonna do next?
Oh my God, he's broken him in half.
He's giving them the people's elbow. Is that a thing? I don't watch wrestling.
Yeah, no, it is. The people's elbow.
I've only heard things.
We were talking off mic before we started. I got a text from my buddy yesterday. We're going to obviously be talking about the big Mandalorian episode, but I told these guys that my buddy Rick texted me just the simple hashtag Boba Fett, because Boba's put on a little bit of weight during his time on Tatooine, and I sent that to my artist who did my new Ahsoka tattoo, and he goes, "Totally agree." I was like, "Damn, dude, there's food on Tatooine."
Well, let's see. He was in that Sarlacc, so maybe he ate whatever was in there.
Oh God!
The other
So much has fallen
the other
into that
Jabba
sometime.
henchman, was he eating them?
Oh my God!
Wilhelm scream. What?
Matt, if people can't support our show financially, how else can they go about doing so?
If you can't support us financially, which we totally understand, go to wherever you listen. Everything is permitted, whether that be Apple Podcasts, Podbean, YouTube, you name it. Give us a thumbs up, a 5-star review, a subscribe, and some kind of love. We very much appreciate it.
Indeed we do. Indeed we do. That was very well said, Matt. Very well done. Very well done.
He's a well-spoken man.
A well-spoken man. Let's get into some rants and raves. Who's got something? Hit it. Oh, me?
I was going to say, you go first. We know you're super
I know,
hyped.
we always go first.
You want me to go first? Okay, I'll go
Yeah.
first. Everybody knows what I'm going to rave about. So, the talking about sagas, the 4 saga, and then there's the saga of my arm. Last year, probably around this same time,
It was, yeah.
I got my Grogu tattoo. He was not Grogu yet. He was just Baby Yoda to us. But now he has a name by the awesome Chris, who we talked about it yesterday while you were tattooing me. I'm not even going to try and pronounce your last name. You said it yourself. You were given a bad last name, and I appreciate that. So Chris did my Baby Yoda tattoo last year, and then obviously we're going to be talking about Ahsoka's debut on The Mandalorian, and she is my favorite thing about Star Wars.
I keep staring at her.
Ever. And the half sleeve continues, and I got Ahsoka done on my arm. And Chris, you killed it. She's not quite done. We have some more shading to do in a few weeks when this is all healed up. The sleeve is coming together. It's almost done.
I feel like you're going to have to Ahsoka in some ointment.
Well, you can kind of see my ointments
Yeah.
glistening
She
on my
oily.
arm right now. She a bit oily. But Chris, dude, you are an excellent artist, and if you love tattoos and you want geeky tattoos, Chris is awesome. He was actually telling me he's getting his own cover up soon. He's getting like a giant Boba Fett helmet on his leg. And I'm gonna. I think we were talking about this off mic as well. The final part of this is I'm gonna do 3 helmets up here. I'm gonna do Mando, Bo-Katan, and Boba on here. So
Yeah, didn't we I remember when this happened, it was episode 4 last year of The Mandalorian, because in that episode they went to Tatooine and you just got the Baby Yoda tattoo, so we called the episode Tattoos and Tatooine.
that's right.
So-
Damn, Brittany.
Now
That's
we're at
the knowledge
episode
right
8,
there.
so yeah, it's about the same time period because they started at a different time this year. They started on Halloween.
Can we call this episode Ahsoka Tantu?
Yes, Ahsoka tattoo.
Ahsoka Tattoo. Yeah, there you go. Not Tantu.
I don't know. I still like the Mandalorian Power Hour.
But yeah,
Anyway,
Power Hour's better.
Chris, if you want to contact Chris about any of your tattoo needs, geeky or not, he works at the Inkwell in Southampton, PA. If you are local, so check him out. I know Heather's gotten a bunch of work done by him.
I
as
think
well.
all of Heather's tattoos have been from Chris.
Yeah. So, who's next?
My rant is going to be about Wade's Comic Madness because I work here.
You
But I
sounded
really-
very cheerful about
Yeah.
that. My
No, I am.
rant.
My rant. Because I really love working at the shop, and I tell Wade all the time. And sometimes it probably annoys him, but I'm like, I really love working here. Thanks for being here.
Fucking nerd.
Yeah, not like that though. But I'm just like, thanks, man. Like it'll just be these weird moments where we're working on stuff, and it's like a long day, and then I'm just like, appreciate you. And he's like, appreciate you. But anyway, I've been doing a lot more this year. Now that I left that my other job that I had, and I work here pretty much full time now, and we do like lots of different awesome stuff. I've done so many cool projects. Like there's so many new shelves up there. I love organizing. I love just like doing things to like get through a lot of like the chaos of the store, the madness. So it's a good thing he named it that because it's true. But like I've been put in charge of a lot of auctions and like different specific things. So like now we got a really big flow with our auctions and a good online community because we used to do them in store all the time, but obviously COVID prevents that. So it's just really nice to see how our auctions are like growing, and it's nice to be a part of that because I get to put out awesome stuff, and then I see people get so excited about it. So that's my little rant. It's just been I've had fun recently here.
I see all the hard work and crazy shit that you're doing here, and it's awesome.
It is awesome stuff.
I love it. Even if I sometimes forget auctions that I bid on and then I lose them, and I get really upset.
My favorite is when it's like 10 or 11 at night and people are messaging me, and then I'm like, sorry, I'm still at work, and they're just like, wait, what? And I'm like, yeah, I'm like still at the shop because I like always think of too many things to do.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you love what you do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And wouldn't it be funny if this place was called The Madness, but completely fucking immaculate? It would be really weird.
Yeah.
It would be really weird.
I don't think any comic shop is like immaculately like.
Have you been to the comic shop in the King of Prussia Mall?
I have not. Actually, no, I have, but that was years ago.
It's actually almost a little pretentious, but
yeah.
But that's like a mall comic shop. I almost don't
You're
count
like, you're
that.
not real.
Yeah.
You're a retailer.
Yeah,
You might as well be a distributor.
You're not in a strip
God
mall.
damn.
You have none of the local charm. You don't have the knit and grit of being on the streets for 30 years.
Yeah, I mean,
did you make it through the crisis in the 90s? Did you think Marvel was going to crash? Like,
Jesus, okay.
did the X-Men movies maybe give you hope?
Do you record podcasts?
Do you
in the
remember
basement?
Blade?
Do you allow 3 weirdos into your back rooms to record stuff?
Do you remember when you couldn't give out Spawn comics or like action figures, and now they're up to like fucking $80? Like,
Matt, do you have a rant or a rave?
So I will rave actually. So obviously, I think out of everybody here, I'm the most into indie games and such, especially PC. Kind of scratches my itch. And a game just came out a few days ago, and I've been playing it on and off as well as playing my Xbox still. And it's called, and I'm probably going to mispronounce the name of it, but it's I know it's a title or it's like a government function. And the game is Suzerain, I think is how you say it, Suzerain, I believe.
then yes.
Yeah. And so basically, long story short, the game takes place in a fictitious country called Swordland.
Swordland!
Yeah, Swordland, yes. So you basically, when you start up the game, the prologue is you determining your character's backstory. And so what happens is that you can choose whether you're from a wealthy family, middle class, low income, and then, your backstory, your education, and all that other stuff like that. Yeah. And there's all sorts of events that take place before the game even starts, like the overthrow of the monarchy, the establishment of like this dictatorial republic that, eventually falls on of its own accord. Your character just gets elected president of this country, and there's all sorts of problems with the country, and it's all about you making choices about like, we're in a recession right now. Do you want to do this or bail out these people? Do you want to build this infrastructure and all that stuff? It's a very compelling game, as well as the fact that you have your own family as well that you're trying to keep together, because your wife is a very intelligent and politically active woman, but she's kind of stepped aside to be your wife. But then she's like, I want to help the rights of women, but then you alienate your conservative politicians if you support her. It's a very in-depth game, and I've been really enjoying it, even though I am like 90% certain I'm going to be overthrown by the military. Yeah. I am pretty certain of that right about now.
There's a saying in Spanish, instead of like being stuck between a rock and a hard place, it's like being stuck between a sword's edge and the wall. And that's what I feel like this game is. So like it makes sense like sword pun wise, because it's like, oh, you live in Swordlandia or whatever it is. But it's interesting because you're on that edge. Which side of the sword are you gonna fall on, bud? Or are you gonna fall on one and die?
Yeah, because right now I've been going the route of, because one of my campaign promises I made before the game started was we're going to build a bigger democracy. And like part of the thing is your presidential powers are very overreaching, and you're rewriting the Constitution, and the Supreme Court of the country actually is against you doing that, because they're like, you need to have these powers in order to keep order and make decisions. And so right now my character is currently in the process of trying to get the necessary votes and convince the Supreme Court to approve this new Constitution that like limits my power, limits me to 2 terms and stuff like that. It's a very compelling game, and I do it's only like $11 right now.
I'm shocked that you can handle like political stuff after all the bullshit that's
I
happened.
love that you're the anti-Trump in your game. So many people would play that and just go full Trump.
I mean, what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to play through the game without touching it in any way, and then I'm going to go back and cheat and just do everything that I want to do, like max budget, max personal wealth, and all that other
Max
stuff.
evil.
Yeah, is Max Donald Trump a setting?
I mean, you
Mad
could
Max.
do, part of the thing is, one of the things the game does is you meet with like business leaders, and one of them is like a media conglomerate, and he goes like, I'll help you out. I just have one favor that I'll ask you somewhere down the road. I'm not like, whatever it is, you must do it. Yeah.
It's gonna be like, eat this baby.
Jesus.
It's gonna be something really freaking weird.
Oh my God. Those are some good raves. No rants this week. You called yours a rant.
Yeah, she did. She did.
Oh,
I was wondering that. But
yeah, sorry. Well, I always think of ranting like I happy rant. I'm
You
just
do
like,
happy
oh
rant.
my God.
It's true.
So I forget what a rave or a rant
true.
means.
It's true.
I also mix up betting and bidding all the time.
Betting and bidding?
Yeah,
or
I
bedding,
tell people like
put
instead,
your sheets on.
Like when I do my auctions, like and people do their bids, when I'm talking to a customer out loud, I'll be like, yeah, like you can bet on whatever, like I talk about it like it's a fucking casino, and Wade's like betting and bidding isn't the same thing. I'm like, they're the same words in my mind. Like I don't understand the difference.
Oh damn.
So he makes fun of me all the time when I do say bidding. He's like, interesting.
Interesting. All right, ladies and gents. If that is all, anything else to rant or rave about? No. Then it is time for
the permitted minute.
That was a good one.
I know.
I was going to go Russian like this and say the permitted minute.
the permitted minute. I was doing my Ben Sisko.
4 out of 11.
More at 11.
Your Ben Sisko was really
More.
good last night. I was
Thank you.
pleased. I feel like I didn't compliment enough because I was too focused on narrating.
I gotta do a
your
line
shit
read
was
with you
good.
guys one of these days. I would
We
have fun
could do
with
it.
that.
We could do it. We should do it. It'll
do the
be
next
fun.
one with us.
Yeah, do the
I don't
next
know
one
when your
with us.
next one
You
is.
can be
We
whoever
haven't
you want.
decided yet.
Ah.
Yes, we
I
will.
went full Kirk.
She
full
did.
Shatner.
She went full
sorry. Full
Shatner.
Shatner.
With the hands and everything.
Minimal Kirk.
Yeah, Matt, you're in on the next one. That'll be fun. It is the permitted minute, and we are going to go here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Mr. Gatus, start the clock.
Oscar Isaac has reportedly been cast as Solid Snake in the film adaptation of Metal Gear Solid.
After Ahsoka's live-action debut in The Mandalorian 2 weeks ago, the Clone Wars animated series gained a nice spike in viewership as a new group of fans get to know her for the very first time. Also, with COVID still very much a concern, Warner Media made the big decision this week to release their entire slate of 2021 films on HBO Max alongside their theatrical release.
Dune. Okay. File this under yet another movie we don't need a remake of, but a Van Helsing reboot is in the works. And congratulations to Elliot Page, who came out as trans this past week. Elliot and the rest of their co-stars will return for season 3 of The Umbrella Academy on Netflix.
I am one with the Force, and the Force is with me. Rest in peace to the man in the suit, Darth Vader actor David Prowse. He was 85.
Initial reviews are in for Wonder Woman 84, and multiple outlets are reporting it's the movie we need right now. Stay tuned in a couple of weeks for our review.
All right, with about 7 seconds left, well done, everybody. The permitted minute. I love the permitted minute.
Right? It's a good time.
always
It's
fun.
boo, 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 boo.
It's always a good time.
And that's how people get their news. Sometimes if they miss some articles online, they're like, oh shit, really?
Oh, shit.
Well, I mean, everybody knew David Prowse died, but like, not everybody knows Wonder Woman 84 is going to be good.
It's funny, for the longest time, I had no idea who the guy was in the suit until I saw some documentary, and then I actually heard him do, the original. And you could tell everybody's kind of like, holy shit, is this what Darth Vader's going to sound like? Because David Prowse does not have a menacing voice.
Oh, the documentary where it just you hear him through the mask?
Yeah,
and
it's like, I
so
want them alive, and it's just like, oh my god.
Nobody cared who I was until I put on the mask.
I was born in the darkness.
Because I remember that same documentary when they said like the cast and crew were kind of like, is this what this dude's supposed to sound like? And then and then they cast James Earl Jones, and James Earl Jones interview, he's like, I guess they wanted like a stuttering black man from Mississippi.
Yep.
Quick sidebar. I'm very late to the game, but I just am now getting through the Lego Batman movie, and I
You've
know.
never watched
I know.
The Lego movies are actually good.
I
Yes,
know.
they're all very good,
And
even
like
Ninjago.
the guy who does like the Tom Hardy Bane voice for that is just glorious. Like I love it. He's like, "Can we help?" I love him. We do have some odds and ends before we get to our Mandalorian Power Hour, and that is talking about the Warner and HBO Max deal. This is big because it's not just Wonder Woman 1984. It's not just Dune. It is literally every single one of Warner Media's films going back to back, both theatrically and on HBO
We're
Max.
talking Suicide Squad. We're talking Matrix 4. We're talking a bunch of movies you never even heard of.
I'm actually seeing if I have the image on here. Oh, there's that bug that's in Wade's bathroom. Jesus Christ.
You don't like bugs, just delete that photo.
No, dude.
He's gonna put it in his background to remind him every time he opens.
I'm just gonna read all these real quick. Warner Brothers 2021 slate includes Dune, which we're all ridiculously excited for. Godzilla vs. Kong. Maybe not Matt.
Matt has like no
Matt's
connection
like,
to Dune.
what's a dune? What's a
What's a
sandworm?
dude? What's a worm?
What is the spice? Why must it flow?
This isn't a spice dream. I would do when Boba Fett said that. I was just like,
Yes. Sorry. Anyway, go on.
Judas and the Black Messiah, The Little Things, Reminiscence, King Richard, The Suicide Squad, Mortal Kombat. I can't wait for that.
Mortal Kombat.
It's not the same without the 90s techno.
The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, Malignant, Those Who Wish Me Dead, The Matrix 4, Tom and Jerry, In the Heights. I can't wait for In the Heights. Space Jam: A New Legacy, The Many Saints of Newark, and Cry Macho. That is a lot of movies being released onto a streaming service the same day that they are released in theaters. What are the pros and cons?
It hurts the movie theater business, like 100%. And I know AMC, I think, has already basically said, like, what the fuck? Like, they've already expressed their discontent about this. But I also think that this is almost more of a trial run to see if, like, are we going to make more money off of streaming, off of releasing on HBO Max, or can we still earn money from theaters? And 2021 to me could be almost the death knell of many, like, especially the smaller independent theaters that rely on these movies to stay in business. This could be the death knell for quite a few of them.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be one of those trial runs where they see definitively, like, can it work feasibly together if we release movies the same day streaming as they are in theaters? And obviously, they have to take in consideration that with COVID, a lot of people just aren't going to go to theaters because it's the health risk. But I think they're seeing, like, will people still watch these movies if they have this option from home? And can, moving forward in the future, even if theaters still do exist and they can do it physically, will people do both? I think people still will, because there's so many people, like we've talked about before, that have, like, physical disabilities or are hard of hearing and need subtitles, things like that. But that's a whole spiel we've gone into before.
I'm in this weird middle zone with this because we've talked about it on the show so many times. All three of us absolutely love and adore the movie theater going experience, right? Mm-hmm. It's special. You get the big screen experience. You get the big sound experience. Who doesn't love spending money on overpriced popcorn and candy?
$40 on your snacks.
And ices. Listen.
$10 icy.
It's worth it, damn it.
I love going to the movies. Wonder Woman 1984 is a great example of this, though. We just talked about it off mic. We're probably not going to go to the theater to see that. Rise in cases, winter, it's just not a good time to do it. We're going to sit and I have HBO Max. We're going to watch it in my house.
Winter Wonderland.
Yeah. Does that mean that I don't want to go to the theaters to see Wonder Woman 84? No, like, I would rather go to the theater. But I think going into 2021, vaccine or no vaccine, you got to take into account that there's anti-vaxxers out there, that it's going to be a slow roll getting the vaccine. It's still not going to be 100% safe to go to the movies. So them taking this step, listen, how long have we waited now for Dune? How long have we waited for James Bond? How long have we waited for Black Widow? At some point, we want our content, right?
James Bond, they're going to keep us waiting because MGM's like...
Well, MGM's been in, like, so much, like, financial trouble, like, always, so...
Make gains more.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. I also completely understand AMC being pissed off. I mean,
they also just shouldn't be open right now.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, Regal was smart and closed again. But do you think that they do have every right to be pissed off? It just seems they're
like,
the first.
I was about to say, like, in this country, yeah. It's if the government does something where they fucking make sure these industries don't completely tank because of the pandemic. Like, there's no reason that all these different industries, no matter, like, where you're working or your businesses, should, like, permanently closed because of this pandemic. Like, if it's the temporary closure during the pandemic and then afterwards you can reopen, but, like, it's just horrible how our system works. And they're just like, nope, let your business fail, bye, as long as we make money in other ways. So I feel like if anything's going to help the film industry or whatever is going to happen, it will happen. If not, if AMC dies and then something new takes its place, who the fuck knows? Maybe we'll like it more than AMC anyway.
Yeah.
As much as I love our AMC theater, maybe we don't know what could be better.
Right.
Like, I don't know.
Matt, AMC kind of seems to be the first to complain first when something like this happens. Of course, there's the whole thing with Universal and Trolls coming out and the fact that they released that. I thought that was a little bit selfish of them because that was, like, right in the middle of COVID. Like, I would have released my movie too on streaming.
Yeah. And it was a kid's movie, and they're like, please, parents are dying at home with their children.
Yeah. Like, do you think that, I guess... Do you think they're jumping the gun, like being like, blah, 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 like, what the fuck are you doing?
Well, I mean, the thing is that as much as AMC might bitch, though, I also understand the opposite side of this from a movie studio's point, because I have spent millions upon millions upon millions of dollars to make movie A, movie B, movie C, and it's just sitting in my archive or whatever you want to call it right now. I'm not making any money off of this, but I've spent tens of millions of dollars, and that's not something that's sustainable long term. And especially since you still need to keep producing content. You're not just going to hold off on all this stuff and then just go, oh yeah, we're going to keep making movies and TV shows and stuff and spend even more money. Your business will not succeed at that point. Like, it will fail. And I mean, I know, and I'm not sitting here going, oh, the poor movie companies and such. They're like, no, they're all terrible. Like, everybody's terrible in this whole circle that we're in. And I mean, the problem is that I would say, like, maybe they should have waited to try, there should have been some kind of symbiotic relationship between movie theaters and the movie companies, but there's also, and I know we don't try and discuss politics here, and I'm not trying to do that, but there is a failing of us as a society that if a vaccine does become widely available, it's not going to be widely taken. I don't expect there to be because go on any Facebook page that mentions the vaccine in a news article and look at the comments and then tell me how long do you think it will
Never
be
look at the comments.
before any kind of herd immunity develops.
Don't even look at fucking a random underwear ad that pops up on Facebook for like women's underwear or whatever. I actually scrolled down and I reported every single comment a man made on it because it was absolutely terrible and was harassment. I was like, you know what? I have time this morning. I have fucking time. So I did, and the company reached out to me and thanked me. They're like, thank you for reporting all these because we actually were able to disable our contents and ban all these people.
That's good.
Because that's what you need to do. Like, you need to go in and report people so it's flagged in the system.
Yeah.
And I've never had to do that before like that, but it was like disgusting. And I was like, if this model sees this, it's on Facebook. She probably has a Facebook. I was like, if she sees this, that's fucking terrible, and that will destroy her life.
Yeah.
So I was like, you have no right.
Yeah. But going back to the topic, it's just, I know, like, part of me still wants to go see Wonder Woman on Christmas Day when it comes out in theater, because I don't think there'll be that many people there. It's something I might decide. I don't know. I haven't made the full decision.
Let's
we braved it for Tenet.
Let's say this. If there's no lockdown yet, I will wear like a fucking hazmat suit and we'll go.
You joke, but I have some of those because my mom wore them for Halloween
if you guys really want to do it, like, I'll do it.
It's something we can discuss because, I mean, Heather might want to see Wonder Woman because she saw it with us when the first one came out. I haven't even talked to Heather about seeing it yet.
We'll figure it out.
I'll be available on Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah,
We'll
all be available.
I will get off work at Christmas morning, so
I'll be dead tired.
I mean, as long as it's not a day I work here. Yeah. No, it's Christmas. Wade will get me off. Never mind.
This is an interesting topic. We'll see if other studios end up doing this and making a deal with some of the streaming networks. I think my last thing I'll say about this is I think that AMC jumped the gun on being a bit bitchy about it simply because they don't have to buy the movies yet. Like, they don't have to spend the money to buy the movies yet. Like, they could figure that out with Warner later. Go ahead.
It's funny. We keep saying jump the gun because they think that HBO jumped the gun joke with Suicide Squad.
Predictable, Brittany, predictable.
Yeah, well, that's because I slowed down. If I would have spoke my normal speed, you would not seen it coming. It would have been like, whack, dead shot, right in the back of the head.
Jesus. All right, it is time to get into the Mandalorian Power Hour, and I will say, sadly, we are going to retire the Baby Yoda song
because he's been named.
Because he has a name, and it's just not right anymore.
I still love the damn
song. So many
song.
people listened to our show and thought we wrote that song.
Yeah, and we
announced it the very first time, it's funny.
Yeah, so Parry Grip, all the credit to Parry Grip because their song is awesome, and I hope they do a redo. So
they absolutely should. We should message them on YouTube. It's
still the same two syllables. Baby Grogu. They could do it.
It sounds
and they
good.
could add.
He doesn't have the floating pod anymore either, though.
Yeah, but he does so many cool things. They could add more. A verse for each season.
Eating ladies' eggs.
Don't you fucking dare,
Baby Grogu.
Get off my bridge.
Lizard eggs, Baby Grogu.
Oh, man. Eating macarons, Baby Grogu.
Lizard babies?
Lizard babies.
Lizard babies.
Force choking stormtroopers, Baby Grogu.
Let's get into it. It is The Mandalorian Chapter 14. We're going to do 14 first. This episode, despite being, quote unquote, a bit of a sad one, was still awesomely epic. Matt, your thoughts?
It was a great episode. So I will admit, when Slave One appeared, my first thought was like somebody like stole the ship or something. It's not Boba. And oh my God, like like 12-year-old Matt
Yes.
was like, oh shit, when like when Boba finally did something. Like, people forget that in the original Star Wars movies, I almost said Star Trek, Jesus.
Yeah.
In the original Star Wars movies, Boba Fett did pretty much jack shit. I mean, it was just all about his appearance and his demeanor. Like, oh,
said,
Boba
like,
Fett's
3
such
lines.
a badass. He's no good to me, dead. But it was awesome to see Boba Fett go completely ham, and especially when he looked at the ship, and I keep wanting to call it Razorback, but it's Razor Crest. Yes. And when he looked at the Razor Crest, and you're just like, yes, like without even, you don't need to see him putting on the armor. You knew it was about to happen, and it was such a great moment. Dad bod Boba Fett just going completely ham on the stormtroopers, and it was such a great episode.
Going ham on him, dude. Some of the shit that he did before he even put the armor on was more brutal than when he had the armor on. Like kicking the shit out of those stormtroopers with
Breaking
the gaffy
their fucking
stick.
faces.
Yeah.
Dude, did you see that one stormtrooper on the ground all like crumpled up? It
face
was
was like-
so gross. It was epic. Brittany, how about you?
I really love this episode. Like, as predictable as it was, as soon as I knew it was called The Tragedy, I'm like, they're going to steal Baby Yoda, obviously.
Yeah.
And then they did. Spoiler. But yeah, seeing Slave 1 first appear, like, I did have that split second where I was like, it can't be. But then my mom was like, oh no, did the Empire catch up to them? Like, is the bad guy or whatever? And I was just like, no, Mom, that's Boba Fett's ship. And then he landed and they got out, and I was like, ah! Like, my 12-year-old self freaked out too. It was so good. I don't mind Dad bod Boba Fett.
No,
because
I don't
it's realistic. I mean, if he's been surviving on his own, he's not gonna look like every single clone in the animated series for his whole life.
No,
like,
I mean Rex didn't turn out the best.
Exactly. I'm like, they do age eventually.
Yeah, like Rex got a little big bone.
But I also liked that Ming-Na was still alive, and we knew she was.
Yeah,
and
Fennec.
when his first little, like, his feet appeared next to her and like the little spurs went off, and we were like, she's not dead. She's gonna be with Boba Fett. Boom, motherfuckers, we were right. Go back to last season and listen to us. We knew it.
Did he give her robotic abs? Because she like pulled up her
Robotic
shirt,
abs,
and I was
dude.
like,
Well,
that was my first thought. I was like, did he give her robotic abs? Like, that's very nice
They
of him.
basically did the thing that they did to Darth Maul in the series too,
Yeah.
where it's like, oh, all this is robotics now, and I'm just like, you didn't explain how that science works, but I'll just like flat out
I'll
accept
accept
it. So yeah, I love that she has a flap that just opens for that. Like, that was the funniest fucking thing to me in this episode. I was like, you literally had this costume that just has this open flap so you can show people that you have a robot tummy.
I imagine
It wasn't like the best like concept
Yeah.
in writing in the world, but like I accept it.
It could have been like, as they were fighting, like something happened and then it
Yeah.
got cut open. Then she's like, "Good
Oh,
thing
shit.
I'm a robot now."
I'm not gonna lie. I picture Boba like finding her after her fight with Mando, and him like, I need to get her a doctor, and now we have Dr. Tusken Raider.
Or when he sees her on the ground, she's damn good to me, dead.
I liked that we knew they were going to go to a temple, but I liked how the temple looked, because it's also, there's the big, amazing temples that they have for Jedi, but then there's these smaller ones that they have everywhere on, like, lots of different planets. And the game that they came out with last year had a lot of those that you travel to.
Mm-hmm.
So when we saw it, like, my mom was like, oh, wait, this is the temple. And I was like, yeah, it's really cool. Remember that game I had a year ago? And then you could travel around and do this. And she's like, oh, you should play it sometime. I want to watch you play it. So it's so cute.
So I don't think they will do this, but if they did it, I will lose my utter shit. Is because obviously, Grogu did the whole thing where he, was connected to the
Reached out to
Force
the-
and kind of
so
sending
good.
out the signal or whatever.
He got
And
stoned.
all I can think of was Luke is around at this time. Luke is running, and I'm like, if Mark Hamill shows up in this, I know he won't,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying if he did, I would just completely
I know you're
lose
gonna
my
mention
utter
go for
shit.
it.
So if you follow Boss Logic on Instagram, he does both professional and fan art posters. Marvel's hired him, Disney's hired him, but he also does just his own interpretations of things. People are making it, it probably won't happen, but there's like the spark that Sebastian Stan might be playing Luke because he looks just
Yeah, he
like him
does.
at
He
that
does
age
resemble
that
him.
And
he's
Mark
supposed
Hamill's
to
joked
be.
about it before, that
Yeah.
he's like, oh,
Yeah.
my son's Sebastian Stan as
Yeah.
a joke.
So there's been a lot of like cool fan art, and like Boss Logic made a pretty fucking convincing Luke.
And
Like,
Sebastian Stan's already connected to Disney.
so But I think the more likely answer we're gonna get from him reaching out to the Force is Ezra.
Yeah. No Luke, other characters.
Yeah, Ezra, and I mean, listen, Ahsoka, and we'll talk about it in our episode 13 review. Ahsoka didn't name drop Thrawn for nothing. Obviously, we'll get there. I have to say,
she wasn't throwing names around for no reason. I have to say it now.
Christ.
I'm just saying, we all love those extended universe things and books, and then Disney was like, "Fuck them," and then the show was like, "No,
John Favreau
EU
and
is back,
Dave
baby."
Filoni to the rescue, man. Matt, I have to just kind of emulate what you said, man. 12-year-old me, Slave One. The fact that it just, you knew exactly what ship it was, it makes that beautiful like hum, like it almost has an exhaust pipe. I love how Slave One sounds, and I was like, oh shit, Boba's back.
I liked seeing it land again.
Yeah.
Like, because it starts to land this way, and then you're like, oh, and then it flips down, and you're like, it's just like my Lego. I still have the Lego Slave One set, and I know you probably do too.
I don't, but I do have the Razor Crest that we're going to build on Christmas Day.
And also, I will also say that at the end when Boba's like, well, our deal, we said we would, keep the child would be safe. He's like, well, the child's gone. It's like, no, like, he's not safe. It's like, yes,
yeah. I
some
like that
Boba Fennec Mando adventures. Yes,
I just loved seeing him, and like what's his name, Tamara Morrison, just obviously playing the clones. He didn't voice them in the Clone Wars, but playing Jango. And then the way he acted the role and emulated some of the lines from Attack of the Clones, like I'm just a man getting around in the galaxy, something like Jango said very similarly. It was just so cool. Like when Boba is tearing shit up when he finally does have the armor on, and he twirls his pistol and puts it back, like that's something his dad did. It was things. Yeah, all the little things. And the fact that it was like Mando and Boba just doing all this badass shit, and like Mando's getting his little cricket rockets up. Oh, dude, it was.
I liked, like, he was badass before he even had the armor on. But then I was glad he got the armor in this episode, because I was like, I don't want any of this back and forth, and he's like hounding him forever for it. But then, dude, the second he has it on, you're just like, he is going to fuck shit up. This is Boba fucking Fett. And the fucking knee rockets too, everything. Yep. Oh, it was beautiful. And like the fight choreography is really good here. Like between Fennec fighting, Mando taking all the shots for her while she's like, I'm gonna snipe from behind. And I was like, this is fucking ridiculous, but I'll take it because whatever. And then Boba at the end, I was just waiting for it. I was like, please use the rocket. Please use the fucking rocket. And you think he's not gonna.
When the ships were flying away, that's all I could think was like, he's about to rocket.
And then he drops the scanner, and I'm like, you have to use the rocket now. Don't tell me you're just scanning to be like, where are they going? And then he does. And the fact, as soon as he hit the top one, my mom's like, oh, he only had one rocket. I was like, no, he's crashing the ship into the other one. Classic Star Wars fucking move.
But then Mando was like, nice shot. But was like, I was aiming for the other one.
And also somebody said, given the ending of that episode, they're like, Darth Grogu confirmed.
I have to say, like, they kind of, in a way, fucked this episode up, because like this is supposed to be the tragedy, but this had so many epic, cool moments that like Baby Yoda, Grogu, gets lost in it, even though he's awesome in this episode as well. At the very end, when he's captured by Gideon and he is wrecking those stormtroopers.
Yeah, he was choking them too. Yeah. So I was just like, woo.
And dude, Giancarlo Esposito, just like watching it happen, his acting, and just like, you really like doing that, but it makes you so tired. Like, his voice, he's just such an awesome villain. And when Grogu reacts to Gideon lighting the Darksaber, was just
I know I shared it on my personal page, but The Onion had like one of the greatest joke articles, but it's so true, where the title of it was Introduction of Giancarlo Esposito lets viewers know the main character is properly fucked.
Yes. Definitely.
Yeah, I saw that.
I'm glad that there was more. Like, we've been waiting to see more from Baby Yoda this season, and at least the last few episodes we've seen more and more. And we know that he's been hiding his force powers, but he was still using them more the first season. So it was nice to see just the fact that he knows he's alone, he's cornered, he's like waiting for Mando, and hopefully somebody to come save him. But he's at that moment, he's like, where the fuck is my dad? Like, and like smashing them together like they're toys. It was like a kid taking two stormtrooper action figures and just slamming them together.
Also, the Dark Troopers, I was kind of wondering about those, because they seem like they're total robots.
I think so.
They are, and I believe they're from one of the video games. They
probably are.
Maybe the Dark Forces games, I feel like. Or
I don't know. It's been so long since I played them.
And then Tython is also a EU planet that is now canon. I forget where Tython is in the expanded universe, but
I don't
know. Pretty cool they added that. We already kind of talked about Boba's redemption, his entrance. It was fucking badass. Let's talk about the kind of big elephant in the room, the fact that there's always been this conversation, especially in the expanded universe, and it was always kind of assumed canon that Boba wasn't a Mandalorian and that his armor was stolen. And, it wasn't, Jango's. It was stolen, like Jango stole it from someone that he killed. This episode officially made Boba and Jango Mandalorians.
I'm glad.
There was never, honestly, to me, there was never a question about Boba being a Mandalorian. It's just whether or not he followed the way and whatnot, because Jango, to me, always was a Mandalorian, and Boba was just, as they said in the movie, he is a clone with no alterations. He is just a regular boy, just basically Jango, just as a child. So it makes sense. He is basically an exact clone of Jango, and Jango to me always was Mandalorian. There was never a question about that. Like, Jango wasn't just some random dude who had the armor on. He was Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
By blood and by right, to me, like, he always seemed like he was Mandalorian. And I know there was that thing where it's like, well, it's not really confirmed. They never, like, because you don't learn about a lot of Mandalorian culture in, like, the standard films. Everything we got was from the extended universe or from video games like Bounty Hunter, or like anything we could get our hands on that told us more about Mandalorian culture. That's why we were all so hyped when they said they were going to make a show called The Mandalorian. We're like, that's the coolest shit we've been waiting to hear about for years. Yeah. Why hasn't this been a show sooner? And we got a little bit with the Clone Wars and Rebels in regards to like learning about Mandalore, the Siege of Mandalore, everything like that. But yeah, it was like a no-brainer to me, and I was glad that it actually was confirmed so soon and that it came from The Mandalorian. So that way he was like, okay, yeah, your father was Jango. I see, like, you showed me what's written in the armor. And he was a foundling. I like that he was a foundling because that makes more sense, too. Because if they have strayed from, quote, the way of the Mandalorian, it's because he was a foundling. He's gone off on his own since. We know he's a bounty hunter. He literally helped fucking evil people make clones. He didn't know they were evil at the time. But, like, he was just like, sure, you can take my blood sample, whatever.
Yeah. I thought it was so cool, and I'm sure this is with every Mandalorian, that the lineage of the armor is in there. That was such a cool thing, that hologram that popped up. Like, you could see here and here, my grandfather before me giving his armor to, like, that
he's was... like, that dumbass Marshall didn't write his name, so it's not fucking... You know what I mean? So he's like, look, my dad and me, no fucking Marshall. Get out of here, Timothy Oliphant.
I just loved everything about that.
The only question I have about that is Boba knew where his armor was. He knew that the Marshal had it. Why didn't he just go get it?
Plot. Armor.
The plot says so.
It's literal plot armor.
We saw him walking at the time, like maybe he was on his way to get it back from the Marshal, and then the fucking Mando shows up and gets it, and
he was busy giving Fennec robot abs.
And then he's like, gotta keep searching.
What did we think about something that we talked about on the last episode with Cara Dune? She now has gone official. She is a New Republic Marshal. There's now a lot of speculation that this isn't only setting up, an Ahsoka show, that this is setting up an entire New Republic spinoff series.
I mean, I know that it's been speculated, and we even discussed the way out with
Gina Carano.
Gina Carano, because I mean she's had some problematic views which Disney probably is not a fan of, and this could be like she might make an appearance here or there as like, I need something from the New Republic. Let's go to Cara Dune and like ask for a favor and stuff like that. So I could see this doing that. As for setting up another show, it's always possible, but I legit do not believe that Cara Dune would be a huge part of it.
Fair.
Or she would Cara-y the show.
Get out of here. Just get out of here.
I like that they have Giancarlo and then Gina Carano. Yeah, it's like the names are so close. Yeah. I'm like, let's smush them together and make a Star Wars name. Let's move the vowels around.
What do you guys think? Do we get immediate satisfaction next week and a quick rescue, or is this going to be a couple episode arc?
I hope it's the last 2 episodes of the season it takes for it to happen, because they did something similar last season. Remember, it was like Thanksgiving break or Christmas break. They did the early episode, so it was right before Rise of Skywalker, so it explained why they did the Force to heal. Mando-chlorians. And then...
Mando-chlorians.
And then, so that way you had that break where you're like, oh no, Baby Yoda's in jeopardy. What are we gonna do? I hope he gets saved. And then... he got saved.
Yeah.
But in this case, I think it's going to be like the last 2 episodes, but we'll see.
I could see, and I'm kind of hoping they do it, but I don't know if they will. And this kind of goes to the previous episode of the mention of Thrawn, and I could see maybe them doing the very last episode. You kind of have like a slight Thanos reveal, or maybe it's like a dark room. You just see somebody with like red eyes, like kind of sitting
the blue
there.
Skin.
Like you don't see him like in full light at the moment, but like those of us who know who Thrawn is, like you would just kind of see like his outline and maybe the red eyes and be like, yes.
Hot seat question before we rate the episode: Ezra also helps come save the day, yes or no?
This season, I would say no.
Probably not this season because they've already done 2 big characters. Throwing them in.
Yeah.
But I don't. It's so hard. It's so hard. It's so hard. I feel like they won't because theoretically Grogu will have to go with Ezra to be trained, and they don't want to take him away from Mandalorian, or else they would have just given him to Ahsoka if they really wanted to. But fuck, I wanted to see him though.
So here's the question I have for you guys: is at some point in the Mandalorian's future, does Grogu not be on the show anymore? Does he go off with Ezra or some other Jedi that we don't know about yet?
Yes, but I also think that the Mandalorian isn't going to be a long-running show. I think that depending on how this season goes, this could be the final season, or that next season will definitely be the final season. I don't think that they ever intended for this to be a long-running thing. This definitely has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And
Maybe it has 3 acts, and we're just in Act 2.
I'm gonna break from you guys and say that I think Ezra is gonna come save the day.
I hope if that happens, I'll fucking lose my mind.
Either Ezra or a Jedi is going to come save.
Yeah.
Even if that's Ahsoka, like he reached out into the Force and Ahsoka changed her mind, and Ahsoka comes and helps. So,
but that would just not make sense for her character.
I disagree. It's a bit of a redemption. Like her master failed her, and now she feels like she can be.
You're right.
We'll see. We'll see. Let's rate this episode out of 10. No, out of 5. We do 5.
We do 5,
show, right?
We do 5.
Yeah.
Too many fucking shows.
He's like, what's a Star Trek and what's a Star War? They share star. Are they the same?
Let's rate this episode out of 5 jetpack rockets.
It's a lot of rockets. Why don't we just do a little...
Matt, go ahead.
I'll give it a 5 out of 5. Obviously, I mean, and I'll fully admit that, once again, 12-year-old inner child Matt just
took over.
Pretty much just grabbed and like, you're rating this a 5. Like,
no,
I mean, any slight imperfections I could find in the episode are not going to lower it. Finally seeing Boba Fett be the badass that we were always told he was, but never was in the movies.
Yeah,
that alone made it worth it.
I agree. So, like, in my mind, I know that it's like a very basic episode, and
only 29 minutes.
It was like a very standard
R.I.P.
outline.
Razor
Like
Crest.
we've seen this done in so many shows before, and like in my mind, I know that it's like not anything new or amazing. But hell yeah, 12-year-old Brittany once again. Boba Fett showed up, and I was like 5 out of 5. I don't care what happens. I don't care who steals Baby Yoda. I don't give a shit. That was amazing.
I will also say the tragedy came from the Razor Crest being blown up.
Yeah, that was tragedy,
that's where I was like, and
when
you
it
see
blew
him
up, I was like, fuck.
and he picks up the little ball and everything like that. Like,
oh god. 5 out of 5. It was a 5 out of 5 the minute that I heard Slave One's engines.
Yep,
I was like,
you're like, oh. That's all you have to do for Star Wars fans too. Like, just throw in something that we love. Yeah. Don't do it in a shitty way, but just sprinkle it. Like, look,
don't
Ahsoka
have Rey
showed
kiss
up.
fucking Kylo Ren.
Ahsoka showed up, and the world lost its fucking mind. Even people that haven't seen Clone Wars now are fucking messaging me, being like, "How do I watch Clone Wars? What is an Ahsoka?" And I'm like, you about to learn.
Crazy
today.
fucking people named Julian getting Ahsoka Tano tattoos. Yeah,
you would have gotten one anyway.
Damn straight. Yeah, and 5 out of 5. Even not just for Slave One, but for Boba Fett's gaffy stick brutalness. Like, holy
awesome.
shit.
I would have watched a season of that. Him just wandering the desert, fucking people up.
So the funny thing is, I almost would have given this episode like a 4 or 4 out of 5, because I remember the whole time when they were fighting the stormtroopers, I'm like, they're only sending like 2 squads or something. What's going on with this? And then they blow up the Razor Crest. I was like, okay, that makes a lot more sense now.
Dude, that just like giant turbo laser cannon come from that. Oh, damn, so cool.
The Empire's back.
The Empire's back.
That's impossible.
I'm looking at their light cruiser.
Heading back. Oh, dude, so good, so good. Jesus. All right, it is time to get into part deuce of our Mandalorian Power Hour. I had to, guys. I'm sorry. part 2 of the Mandalorian Power Hour, and we are going out of order here. We did episode 14 at the top of the show. We're going down to episode 13, and that was obviously the big awaited reveal of Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka Tano. Brittany, we'll start with you this time. Your initial thoughts on the Jedi.
I had a ton of love for this episode.
God damn right you did. I'll give that one to you.
I was like, let you go.
Mother of God.
No, for real though, I thought Rosario did an amazing job as Ahsoka, and as an adult Ahsoka that we haven't quite seen yet. Like, we've seen her older in Rebels, but this is, to me, I know that they're still discussing when exactly this episode happens, whatever, I don't care. She seems like an older, more mature version of Ahsoka who's been through more in life, and she's calmer in a way. Like, Ahsoka has always been one that, even in the later series of Clone Wars, as much as she's learned and she's grown, she's a little more headstrong and kind of focused and determined that way. So it was nice to see her just really, like, embrace this character, embrace what Ashley did to make this character amazing, and brought her to life in a way that I didn't think was going to happen anytime soon. I know they, like, mentioned that she was going to appear in The Mandalorian, but I still was like, I don't know. It's probably going to be like a 2-second thing. Like, who knows? But it was great. Just the way the episode opened when she was, like, rushing through the trees and everything's, like, dark, and she turned off her lightsabers and then turned them on. Boom, boom, boom. Turn them off.
That was very, like, samurai movie.
We're going to talk a lot about that this
Well, there's,
episode,
like, exact shot parallels to Akira Kurosawa films. So.
Yeah, like Seventh Samurai, and I'm going to talk all about that in a second. Matt, your initial thoughts on the Jedi.
So I'm also a lover of the Ahsoka Tano character, and I was glad, and obviously I'm a lover of Rosario Dawson. So
Are you?
I know.
You're
right?
a lover?
Dude,
I
no,
know.
Matt fucking crushes hard on Rosario.
I know. I crush hard on Rosario.
He's blushing right now.
But I was happy to see Ahsoka brought to life. You know, she had that presence where you kind of know that she's been through shit. She's immensely powerful. She probably could have fucked up Mando pretty easily.
Oh, definitely.
And once again, like, this was another episode that hit it out of the park, bringing, you know, this Clone Wars / Rebels / you know, whatever character into a live action universe. I was happy with how they did it. They obviously set up a lot more stuff with the character. I know there's been rumors that, there could be an Ahsoka show, which I'm already in. Like, if you cast Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka and just said, we'll give you like 1 or 2 seasons of just watching Ahsoka go around the galaxy doing her own thing, like, I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's, you know, they're talking about being an Ahsoka show, but I think it's really going to be a live action sequel to Rebels. I think that's what they're planning, which I'm fucking here for. Who played Daisy on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? I always forget the actress's name. Quake. There's been rumors that they're going to cast her as Sabine, which I would totally...
Yeah, I don't remember the actress.
I always forget her
I literally
name.
follow her on social media. Like, Chloe
Bennett.
Chloe
Thank
Bennett.
you.
There
Chloe
we go.
Bennett.
I was, I had
You got the first,
I got the second. Picture her, like, Instagram.
So I'm just like, I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. I've been waiting for this for fucking ever. I'm like getting fucking emotional. I love Ahsoka so much. She is just so everything, you know. I mean, we talked about it when we reviewed the Clone Wars final season. She is just the best thing that has happened to Star Wars. And thank God we got this show before and after Rise of Skywalker, because I don't know how much investment I'd have in Star Wars right now otherwise, because that movie was such a shit show. The fact that they didn't waste any fucking time at the beginning of this episode, it was just like, oh, Forest, silver lightsabers, Ahsoka Tano fucking wrecking people. And I was just like, just Dave Filoni, fucking mastermind. You are a genius. And we already mentioned it. This episode was a love letter, not only to Ahsoka Tano, it was a love letter to those, you know, amazing samurai films. So many shades of, it's Seventh Samurai, right? Or Seven Samurais. I forget.
Seven Samurai.
Seven Samurai. And, even when Ahsoka is fighting the magistrate at the end, there are a lot of parallels to the fight in Kill Bill.
Uma Thurman as the bride. Yeah.
Between the bride and Lucy Liu during that fight scene. There's a lot of parallels to that. This was a complete samurai episode between the choreography and the lines
The
and
tone, everything.
Kyle Reese, like
Michael Biehn.
Michael Biehn facing down Mando, while you not see them fight in the background but hear them fight in the background, was just such a genius move. Go ahead.
So Brittany and I, when we recorded last week, we actually talked about that. On the inside of the compound, you had a samurai showdown going on. The outside, you had the Western showdown going on.
And that's what I like, because fun fact, samurai and cowboys were around at the same time, just in different parts of the world. They share a lot of similarities, and that's why a lot of samurai films their exact plots or stories are taken and transformed into Westerns. The Magnificent Seven is Seven Samurai.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many films that a lot of people who like Westerns, you could easily like samurai films if you gave them a chance or you open your mind a little. But it's so nice to see them paired together, and that's what makes like Mandalorian so cool. It is a Western show. It's a space Western, but it does so much touching on these like other genres and paying homage to so many different things. So I love that. I loved seeing the Western in here and then the samurai showdown happening on the inside, even though like they weren't literally using samurai swords, like being super crazy.
I also have to give a big shout out to the writing in this episode, because without name dropping, if you are a Star Wars fan, Rosario's acting, talking about why she wasn't going to train Grogu, made me tear up and just gave me goosebumps, because when she's like, I've seen what these emotions that he has do to the very best of us, a fully trained Jedi Knight. And obviously, you know, that she's talking about Anakin, and you could see the pain in her face talking about that. You know, when she mentions that he's the same race or the same species as Yoda, and Ludwig Göransson being full fucking genius, putting in a little bit of John Williams' Yoda theme in there. This episode was so beautifully crafted, and it just makes me wonder why Kathleen Kennedy decided to give the franchise to J.J. Abrams instead of fucking Dave Filoni. It just, it doesn't make any sense to me, because you get this series, and the series has had like one or two episodes, but for the most part, it's just everything I think Star Wars fans could ever hope for, and the best live action debut you could hope for Ahsoka Tano.
Well, it boils down to, and I have to, Dave Filoni deserves credit, but so does Jon Favreau, because he wrote pretty much most of the episodes, and it's
baby eating.
And it basically, it also boils down to, you have an overall creative control that says, this is what we're going to do. We're going to hit these story beats. And then you let the directors, how do you want to handle your part of that story? Put your own style, your own feel into it, and you let them do that. And that's how they should have done the sequel trilogy.
But they don't do that with films. And we see that even with the choices that should have been made for certain films. How many times do you have directors that later on are like, that wasn't really the film I wanted to make. Studios forced me to do this. Actors say the same thing. This isn't even like just talking about like Zack Snyder cut, whatever. Like this happens all the time where people are like, yeah, that wasn't, I mean, you have directors leave all the time for creative differences, and it's most of the time because they want control to do things a certain way, and then the company up top's like, nah.
Well, and you have to wonder why this series is so good right now. I'm sure that Kathleen Kennedy and Disney have heard all of the backlash. And listen, like, there is a good chunk of the fandom out there that loves Rise of Skywalker. And listen, I'm not going to shit on you for liking that movie, because I love The Last Jedi and people fucking hate that movie. I'm not going to shit on you for liking the movie. Having said that, it was an awful way to end the franchise. And I'm sure they heard about that and heard about, like, even though it was JJ, he still wanted to make a different movie than he got to make. We know that Colin Trevorrow had a better script out there and got canned. Imagine seeing that movie that he had planned out. Yep. I do wonder if they are giving them, like you said, Matt, a very long leash to do what they want, so they don't get this fan backlash again.
You can also, like, the good thing about Star Wars is there's so much to explore that they can continue to make a bunch of different TV shows that explore different parts of Star Wars that don't involve the Skywalkers and their saga.
Yes.
That's the good part about it. Like, you took this show, which follows a Mandalorian who was not Boba Fett. He was nobody from the original series or any of the Star Wars movies. And he's done his own thing. Has he then incorporated other characters that we know and love? Yeah, and it's working well. So I'm happy. I feel a lot better about the season than I did 2 episodes in. I'm so glad that it got stronger after those first 2 episodes, especially 4 and 5. Like, since then it's been like boom, boom, boom. But I feel like Dave Filoni, the only reason they didn't give him a chance at the movies is just because he's not a big name that people know. And for directing a huge trilogy, whatever, especially Star Wars, they were like, oh, JJ did something with Star Trek. Let's have him revamp
And he's also
Star
a
Wars.
hardcore Star Wars fan. Like, Star Wars is something he loves.
Which is weird, because he did Star Trek, but then didn't even really know much about Star Trek.
He got big to do Star Trek, basically.
But Dave Filoni, that's what I want to mention. I just remembered. You could feel his storyboarding in this episode. There were so many like specific shots of her that I was like, I know Dave drew this out. Like, it happened like how he would draw it for it to be made in Clone Wars, and then they would like digitally animate it. Like, he drew this out, had a vision in his mind, and then made it happen. You could tell he was in charge of the episode.
There were so many awesome throwbacks to the cartoons when they're in the final act and she's doing the same stealth thing, and she does the lightsabers come out like this right from Rebels.
And when she changes her grip, too, during the fight.
That is something that I had to have done on my tattoo because I love Ahsoka's old grip. It was something that Anakin had to train out of her, but I was like, that is so Ahsoka that he actually changed her arm to go back for this saber.
And that's another samurai reference, too, that having the shorter blade, because samurai, when they do dual wield, have one shorter and one longer blade.
Yep.
Exactly.
Katanas and wazakashis.
Shoto, Tano. Mm-hmm. It's all connected.
Let's talk a bit about I guess, going from Ashley Eckstein, who obviously has brought this character to life through the Clone Wars and the Rebels and, is Ahsoka Tano, and then passing that mantle to Rosario Dawson.
Passing the Leku.
Passing the sabers.
What did we think about how she emulated that performance and stayed loyal to Ashley while making it still her own?
I think Rosario did a really good job. I don't know how much of the Clone Wars she'd watched beforehand, or if she like studied certain aspects of Ashley's performance.
She's a pretty big Star Wars fan.
I was about to say, I'm hoping she watched everything and she knew a lot, because she did express really wanting to play Ahsoka, oh my god, when they make the show. And she obviously like did everything. I think this is the best way for something to come to live action without the original actor playing them, is that you could tell there is immense respect between like the two. Rosario like pays homage to what Ashley brought to the character and played the character in such a real, caring way that she cares about the character, she cares about everything that happened to the character before she took over this role, and would never dismiss anything Ashley's done. And I think that they're both in that like sort of mutual respect. I know it was hard for Ashley, obviously, to not be cast because they did that, Katie Sackhoff came in as Bo-Katan. So I understand how hard that would be. Like, as a voice actor, it's probably a dream to actually get to be your character on screen. That would be amazing too. But I think they both deserve all the love. And I don't think one is better than the other. I think that they're different stages of the same character, and I feel that watching them.
I also appreciated how Rosario, because to me this did strike me as a basically middle-aged Ahsoka Tano. So
she's supposed to be about 45 now.
Yeah, so give or take, she's around the same age that Rosario Dawson is, so it makes sense. And it sucks that that Ashley, the voice actress, could not be in the role. But one, I don't know what Ashley looks like. You do have to cast somebody that at least somewhat resembles the character. Like, makeup can only do so much. But I also appreciated that this Ahsoka, like, I view Ahsoka as a little more emotional and a little more active in terms of what she does. And Rosario was obviously a little more laid back, but that makes sense because, she's older, she's wiser, she's been through the ringer, obviously Order 66 and everything, God knows what else leading up to this point.
Yeah.
And it makes sense that her character would be a little more reserved at times when she's talking to people. And, I very much appreciated how she was portrayed. It was obviously done with nothing but respect to the animated character. Obviously that's both Rosario and Dave Filoni doing all that. And once again, it was great to see an extended universe character brought to a live action role. And I was very happy with how Rosario and all of them pulled it off.
Yeah. Great. Yeah. Just absolutely fantastic. I really can't say much more than you guys just said. You put it perfectly.
You have her tattooed on your arm, so like we know she was already tattooed on your heart. Now she's on your arm. I will say that I also want to tell whoever's listening, if you didn't know this already, George Lucas, when he originally made Star Wars, based a lot of basically the entire idea of the Jedi is based on samurai.
Yep.
Like the mystical force and stuff. Like that's all. It's all Asian ideas. It's chi, harnessing the energy within you. Their lightsabers come from swords and katanas used by samurai. So it's really nice to see that occasionally being nodded to a little more heavily in episodes like this, and that's why a lot of people like that a lot. And I know we're going to get into the next part, but before we do, speaking of the fight choreography and the fight scene, there was really only one thing I didn't like, but I know that they like force actors to do it, and it's always when you are spinning with a pole weapon or like a long weapon, and you leave your back open to your opponent, but to spin and do a block. In real life, you'll never do that. But I know that the actress knows not to do that, and they probably made her do it because it looks nice. But the actress that played the magistrate is actually Bruce Lee's goddaughter. So she was trained by her father, who trained with Bruce Lee. So she obviously knows how to fight, knows how to use a bow. And you could tell watching that fight scene that these were, like I mentioned in previous episodes, like where sometimes the fighting feels off. Or no, it was the movie review where I said the fighting was fucking atrocious. Yeah. This was an example of fight choreography done well. The choreography team and stunt team taught and did these things well. And also Rosario and I forget the name of the woman.
I forget her name too.
It's like Ino Santo is the last name, but why am I forgetting the first name?
I do have one slight ding against this episode, though, and that is the criminally...
The Beskar?
Well, not that, but criminally underutilizing Michael Biehn, who I love Michael Biehn, the actor. He's a good dude. And the idea of that whole battle, because they're listening to the battle inside the courtyard, and then when Michael Biehn basically says, like, well, I guess my side lost, he still tries to draw down on Mando, even though he basically is a mercenary, it seems like.
But that was such a Western thing.
I know, but you think he would have been like, I'm not getting paid anymore.
It was also just stupid, though.
I liked it. Her name is Diana Lee.
Diana, there we go. Yeah, Diana Lee Inosanto, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And she was great.
And that's why her middle name is Lee, though, because she's his goddaughter, and she was named Lee.
I know I have it in the notes here, and I know you want to talk about it because we've been discussing it. But
I have my final thoughts.
But there's one more subject I want to talk about, and that's both Ahsoka related and not Ahsoka related. The first is this was the episode that we finally got Baby Yoda's name being Grogu. Do we like Grogu?
I don't mind it. I'm fine with it. Like, it didn't bother me at all. I was like, oh, it's cute. It kind of sounds like it would be from Yoda's species. That it's kind of fucking annoying that we still don't get the name George Lucas. He's like adamant that he's never going to give a name for Yoda's species. I think because at this point we would just freak out and not be happy.
Yeah, right.
Well, to be fair, Lucas has no control anymore, so at some point Disney might do that. I
do wonder if that's true. Lucas has been showing up on set a lot for The Mandalorian, and he helped out. He wrote a scene for Solo.
It was probably whatever one doesn't feel right.
No,
if they're like being romantic and like hitting on each other.
He wrote the scene like, "Are you with anybody?" No, I'm by myself. So Solo.
That was it.
I like that scene. God damn it!
My mom just watched Solo recently and realized she never saw it, and she loved it.
Yeah,
I liked it.
I too. I like Grogu.
I liked it for Darth Maul. Yeah, but yeah, I liked Grogu. The only problem now is when we go to talk about baby whatever, people are going to be like, which G name, Baby Groot or Baby Grogu? I'm like, GRs? You couldn't think of anything that wasn't close to Baby Groot? Son of a bitch.
Yeah. The last big reveal is when Ahsoka is fighting the magistrate. We get that big bomb of a shout out to Grand Admiral Thrawn. We know he's out there somewhere with Ezra. And she, as she's fighting him, goes, "Where is Grand Admiral Thrawn?" And you're just like, God fucking damn it, it's happening.
When she mentioned earlier, like, she was trying to find out, like, her leader or, like, who was working, like, in the back of my mind, for some reason, I even thought about Thrawn. And I was like, that would be really whack if it was some big, powerful dude like Thrawn. And
the assassin droids.
Yeah, that must have been it.
The logo on the head.
That makes sense. Because, like, for some reason in my mind, Thrawn happened in my brain. And then when she said it, I was like, what the fuck? I was like, did they read my mind? Like, no fucking way. And also, I didn't think it was going to happen because Disney's distanced themselves so much from extended universe things. Yeah. But anyway, I freaked the fuck out. That was my favorite. I didn't care so much about Grogu. I cared about Thrawn. I was like, that's the name drop of this fucking century.
Yeah.
Well, because Thrawn is, I would argue that Thrawn has essentially been almost the white whale of the Star Wars extended universe, because everybody knows who Thrawn is. Yep. Whether you've read the books or played video games or whatever, like, Thrawn has been one of the overarching presence in the Star Wars universe, in the extended universe, for basically like 20, 30 years. Like, I don't know when the Heir to the Empire books originally came out. I want to say the 90s.
30 years ago.
Early to mid 90s.
So Thrawn has been a part of Star Wars for a long time, and the idea that, because now basically the idea to me is Moff Gideon's working for Thrawn.
Yes.
Like that is exactly what is happening.
It does.
There had to be a bigger bad, and him
and you have to
being
remember too is that the Emperor and Thrawn, especially if you read the new books, the new Timothy Zahn books. I want to have him on our show. I'm going to make that happen. I'm not kidding. I'm going to reach out to him. He has made it very clear that the Emperor and Thrawn have a very unique relationship. Like
lovers.
That the Emperor, no, not lovers, but he almost has a trust in Thrawn, where Vader is more the Emperor's pawn. Thrawn is his
spawn. Thrawn is his spawn, and Vader's a pawn. I've been waiting to make that pun. I was going to make the pun earlier, but I saved it for the best moment.
Well, it's also the thing with the Thrawn character is that people, and it's something that Star Wars has never directly addressed, but it's a lot of the extended universe has, is that the Empire is basically racist against most species. Like humanity is primary thing. And for Thrawn to advance to where he was, that shows how competent he was, how ruthless, efficient, and as Julian said, the Emperor pretty much trusted him implicitly.
Yeah.
And that's why you don't really see aliens.
And what's great about those books is that they go heavily into that he is very much an outsider, and that there is a lot of xenophobia thrown towards Thrawn. And
he was like, "You throwing that around in front of me?" Just kidding. That's not how he talks.
Wrong, sir. Wrong.
He stands like this a lot.
He does. He has a great pose.
He has a great profile.
If you're listening, Lucasfilm Disney, we know that you had Matt Smith cast in some role that he didn't get to play in Rise of Skywalker. Make it happen. Matt Smith, Thrawn. Make it happen. Make it happen.
Oh my god.
Right?
I don't know.
How are they going to do those contacts? I can't wait.
I gotta think.
Yeah,
about
they're definitely going to do contacts. The last thing we'll add, we're running out of time here. The last thing we will talk about is Leaku Gate.
It's like,
such
you know
a
what's so
dumb
funny?
topic.
Every time there's a big conspiracy or an argument, people call it whatever gate, but it doesn't make any sense because that's just a reference to Watergate, but that was the hotel. So it's so funny that people always do, it's Applegate, it's whatever gate, and I'm like,
Pizzagate.
Yeah, Pizzagate, and I'm just like, it's the Watergate Hotel. Like, come up with something else.
Brittany's
Come up with something
fucking
else.
Calling me out hardcore.
No, it's
right
not
now.
you. It's
I know, but I called it
it's
Leaku Gate.
It fucking cracks me up every time. News articles do this.
Damn.
What are our thoughts on the Leakus? Because obviously these are not the size that they should be, but they had to make concessions. Brittany's ready.
I've argued with so many people on Twitter. I just give up now. I'm just I'm tired of having this conversation because I get it. We want characters to look exactly like they do in their original versions, but when you make things live action and practically, that can't always happen. If this whole show was CG, you'd be fine. Okay? They're not going to spend money to just CG her longer fucking Leakus in there. And the thing is, this episode was very combat heavy. When you do fight choreography, when you do martial arts, if you get into a fight on the street right now, if you're even wearing a baseball cap, that shit is going to fly off. I don't care what you're doing. You don't have to do a flip. If you have something on your head, it's going to fall off. So for an actor to have this whole headdress on, and I know people wanted to argue that, Doug Jones is covered in stuff all the time. Yeah, but is his head being expanded this high with things that are weighing disproportionately? No. He gets layers all over his entire body. It's even. And he's not doing heavy fight scenes all the time. But anyway, they do this fight scene. Obviously, they made the top shorter so that way it's not going to lean back or possibly fall, because prosthetics only glue so much. You don't want it to fall back and then rip her skin and stuff like that. You don't want it to peel off or it gets so heavy on someone's neck all day. Filming doesn't happen in 5 seconds. The episode might be 29 minutes long, but they took 29 days to shoot that fight scene. You know what I mean?
Right.
So anyway, that being said, front and back, they obviously had to shorten those things because it has to be easier for the actor to move, especially while wielding dual weapons, which is a whole nother thing. You try to swing weapons around your body and not hit the hat off your head. Anyway, I'm annoyed. So I'm just going to say to anybody complaining, I get that you want accuracy, but you need reality. And from someone who's done martial arts or gets the film industry and having to actually film stuff and how much it takes, it's not going to fucking happen.
Can I just contradict you real quick to say that even though I agree with everything that you're saying, you also were disappointed?
I wasn't disappointed.
You said in the chat that you were, when we were talking and on Facebook.
Well, I was
Messenger.
it sucks she doesn't have the long
that's
things.
That's
But that's all you have to say. You'd be like, yeah, it's weird to see her with shorter things. You'd expect as she's older they get bigger. But immediately in my mind, when I saw they were shorter, I knew immediately, oh, Makes sense. She's
and that's
fighting.
literally go ahead.
The fact that some people are so outraged by this or upset by this blows my freaking mind, that you're arguing over the physiology of something that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
You're basically like, it's basically you're getting into an argument about like, no, the physiology of the Xenu race, like that's not how they are. Like, it doesn't exist.
And they're like, Disney has enough money to CG all that. And I'm like, you know what?
Because I remember, and this dude's a piece of shit, but he very much has a point on this. Is Max Landis, whose father is John Landis, the director. He made a video where his father said to him one day, like, how do you kill a vampire? And he goes like, garlic, stake to the heart, sunlight. He goes, nope, you can do whatever you want because vampires don't fucking exist.
That just takes the fun out of it, though. I don't think that's a good point at all.
Also, running water is a very important thing when fighting vampires. I just want you to know that in case you don't have garlic, stakes, or like any sort of magical incantations that will work on the vampire. No, from a D&D perspective, this helped me in the Curse of Strahd. I created moving water, and it was a barrier. He could not get past it.
This is the last thing I'll say on it, is that I am a little bit disappointed. I got them accurate to how they should be on my arm.
Disappointed? I see your point here, Julian.
Jesus. Having said that, much like Brittany said, when I saw it on screen, my first thought was choreography. Yeah. It was just easy. If you follow television, if you follow movies, it is the logical reason why they did it. People trying to make it like they just fucked up. I'm like, no, this is Disney. They didn't fuck up.
My favorite example is Padme Amidala. When she's Queen Amidala, she wears huge-ass headdresses. Look at every single time she's in a fight scene. She's running around blasting, doing whatever. She has her hair back in a motherfucking bun or some shit, running around in some tight-ass suit, and it is blasting away. Yep. She's not going to wear her goddamn headdress. It will fall the fuck off. I have the Barbie to her still. I don't play with Barbies, but that Barbie headdress falls off all the goddamn time.
I will say one of the things that, and it's been pointed out by numerous people about the prequel movies with all the Jedi, is you have these Jedi with like tentacles and shit flying around. Like, how have they not cut some of this shit off when they're swinging a lightsaber?
Years and years of Jedi training.
That's also because the tentacles are a part of their body. And you know when you're swinging stuff around, if you have your arm out or whatever, you're not going to hit your own arm. Like, you do nunchucks and you're like, I'm not going to hit myself in like this body part.
I don't.
I thought you can't argue about these things because they're not real, Matt. Boom, motherfucker.
Anywho, I say let it go, guys. Just let it go.
Speaking of let-cooing it go,
Lacuna Matata.
Lacuna Matata.
God.
Yeah, just move on.
Let us rate this amazing episode out of 5 Leku.
That's so many. I'm picturing it now. 5 out of 5. It was awesome. I loved seeing Ahsoka. I think that's still my favorite episode of the season. Like, this last one was good too for Boba, but if I had to choose one or the other, I'm like, it's gonna be Ahsoka showing up.
Yeah,
it's Ahsoka or nothing.
Yeah, I'll give it 5 inches of Leku taken off of Ahsoka's thing there.
Damn. Yeah, I'll give it 5 out of 5. Enough said. No reason to go into it more. This episode was epic and amazing. So that is going to do it for this week's episode. We will be back next week. Matt, we're going to be deep diving a little bit into Destiny Beyond Light. Don't know how much I'm going to have to talk about it because I've already kind of given up on it.
You can call it D3 or DDD.
Weak.
I'm not weak. I'll end up playing it a lot next week because the next gen versions are coming out, so I'll have time to get back into it. We'll also be talking Mando chapter 15. Thank you. And finally, we're also going to be talking about artists and I guess verse their art, right? That was I forget exactly what was the point of that episode.
It was just saying if they could separate an artist from their art.
Oh,
like we mentioned Gina Carano and what she has said.
We will have that as well. So that'll do it. We will be back next week. For Matt, for Brittany, I say to you, have a good night.
You can find Everything is Permitted on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. Everything is Permitted is produced by Rob Migliaccio, Nikki Veazey, and Geneva Stein-Shivers. Our executive producers are Michael Cox, Brittany Tomes and the Tomes family, and Julian Brown.